Hi, this is Ed in San Diego, and welcome back to Global TV Talk Show, a unit of globalbusinessnews.net. Our very special guest today is a famous author, Dr. Noah St. John. He's the author of several books. We're going to focus today on one, and then we're going to bring in another one. The first and foremost is The Seven-Figure Machine. Dr. Noah St. John is known as the father of affirmations and the mental health coach to the stars. Welcome.
Thank you, Ed. It's great to be here with you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. I
Thank
love
you.
you. I love your background there.
Aw, thank you. Appreciate
What
that.
what is an affirmation?
An affirmation is something that I invented 27 years ago. That's very different from the traditional affirmation, right? So I want people to know we're saying a new word here. You can actually see the book here in my background. It's my book from Hay House called the Book of Affirmations. So it's spelled AFFORMATIONS,
So
affirmations.
what's that about?
So an affirmation, of course, we all know is a statement of something you want to be true. So like as a keynote speaker, I always like to do this with my audience members. I'll say, whether it's a virtual or a live workshop or conference or event, there could be 1,000 people in the audience. And I'll say something like, all right, everybody, I want you to say an affirmation, just like the gurus taught us, right? Everybody say, I am rich. And everybody goes, I am rich. And you know what happens next? Everybody starts laughing. And I go, what are you laughing at? They go, well, I'm not rich. And I say, but you just said you were. And they go, yeah, but I don't believe it. See, isn't that the problem with the old method, the affirmations method that we were all taught, for decades? And so in 1997, I actually had an epiphany. I was actually in the shower, believe it or not. I call it the shower that changed everything, right? And I realized that why are we going around making statements that we don't believe when the human mind responds automatically to questions? And so that's when I invented my affirmations method, which is spelled AFFORMATIONS. And you can Google that or go to affirmations.com. But anyway, affirmations are empowering questions that actually what they do is they engage the embedded presupposition factor of the brain. Now that's just a fancy way of saying when you ask a question, your brain automatically searches for an answer, right? If I ask you, why is the sky blue? Your brain automatically goes, I don't know, why is this guy blue? Right. And see, you couldn't help doing that. And so that's what I invented, meaning I took what was already going on in the human brain and I just adapted it. And I said, well, why don't we just do that? And so now we have over 1 million people around the world who have, studied my affirmations method or got one of my affirmations online courses. And, they've literally getting incredible results like doubling or tripling their income and finding love, losing weight. Even some people have told me they, were able to quit drugs and alcohol as a result of my affirmations method. So it's really powerful and actually it's a heck of a lot of fun.
Okay, we want to learn about this for sure. So I'm going to read this thing. Working
Uh-huh.
with Hollywood celebrities, 7 and 8 figure company CEOs, that's a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
professional athletes.
Yes.
Dr. Noah is famous for helping people make more in just 12 weeks than they made in the last 12 months while winning their lives back. In other words, they're doing more. They're refreshed, re-energized,
Correct.
and richer, I guess.
Correct.
He's also the author of 25 other books, including his new book, The Seven-Figure Machine, Your Ultimate Roadmap to Endless Earnings and Financial Freedom.
Yes.
And guess this, audience, you can get $300 worth of free bonus gifts when you get this book at the online sevenfiguremachinebook.com. So,
Right.
Dr. Noah St. John, um, what's the gimmick here? How can I make more money today? I'm
Absolutely.
listening.
Well, people ask me this all the time, Ed, right? So how do you help people make more in just 12 weeks than they did in the previous 12 months while winning their lives back, right? Because what everybody's talking about out there is, hey, you want to make more money? Just work 10 times harder and never stop. I'm like, great, that sounds awesome. Thanks a lot, man. That's what the hustle bros are teaching, right? I call them the hustle bros, and they're all like, hey, if you're not working 14, 18 hours a day, then you're a loser. You got to be working on Christmas Eve and New Year's, and I'm going, are you nuts? I'm like, dude, I want my business to serve my life, not the other way around. Right. But that's the problem. So many business owners find themselves in that position that they're just working so hard for their business and their business isn't returning the favor, right? So my job is to flip that script and say, listen, your business needs to work hard for you so you don't have to work so hard for it, right? And so how do we do that? Well, it is, of course, a system, right? That's what it really comes down to, is a system. And it really comes down to these two elements that I've been teaching for over 25 years to my clients, thousands of people all around the world who've added over $3 billion as a result of these methods, my methods. And that is inner
Boy,
game.
I can't wait. So
I know, right?
yeah.
It's inner game and outer game. All right. So if you think about two circles that connect, I use, and if you read any of my books or go to my courses, I'm a total nerd. I love Venn diagrams, right? Venn diagrams like my favorite things. I have all these, charts and everything like that. But if you think of a Venn diagram with two circles, right? You have inner game on one hand and outer game on the other, right? And inner game is everything that happens between your ears that you can't see directly, but it's affecting everything that you do without your conscious knowledge. And so that's your inner game. Affirmations is a perfect example, right? What I was just teaching you earlier, that's an example of what I teach in inner game. And then we have outer game, which is everything you can see directly, right? So that's the systems and strategies, the offers, funnels, and traffic, all the things that people have probably spent a lot of time, money, and effort, putting into place. The problem is that until and unless you put inner game with outer game, you're always going to be hitting, as I call it, the income ceiling, right? And that could be 6 figures, could be 7 figures, right? I've had people come up to me who say, hey, no, I'm totally stuck. I'm only making 40 grand a year. I've had people say, no, I'm totally stuck. I'm only making 400 grand a year. I've had people say, no, I'm totally stuck. I'm only making 4 million a year. So it doesn't matter where you are. If you're hitting that ceiling, you know what it is. And when you put the inner game and outer game together, boom, that's when you can get that hockey stick growth.
Okay, so you're a mental coach to the stars and celebrities.
Yes.
Tell us something about that.
Well, again, it goes back to inner game. So let me give you a cautionary tale. Okay. So when you talk about celebrities, right, what do they have? They have all the outer game stuff, right? They're rich and famous, right? In other words, people know who they are and, they've got lots of money and everything like that. The problem is there's a lot of miserable millionaires out there. Okay. And so the problem is, so the cautionary tale that I always use is Chris Farley, right? Most people remember Chris Farley, who's big in the 90s and, the comedic genius. There's no other way to say it. He was a comedic genius, but he died, he was dead at age 33, the exact same age as John Belushi, who had the exact same problem, right? Years before that. And so there's all of these examples that we can think of, people who were rich and famous who never mastered their inner game, right? Going back to what I was just talking about. And so that's what that is all about, right? So what's really great is that so many celebrities now are talking about mental health. I mean, this didn't exist even 5 years ago. I've been teaching mental health for 27 years, but you couldn't say mental health before because they go, oh, cart them off to a loony bin, You just couldn't even use that term before. But now it's so great. I'm so excited that so many celebrities are coming out and saying, gee, I need help with my mental health. I'm like, no kidding, right? So it's really great because that gives the rest of us permission to actually ask for the help that we really need.
What is the biggest block to activate that inner?
Yeah, absolutely. So it really comes down to basically what I've written these 25 books about. I've written 25 books pretty much about one subject, which is what I call your head trash, right? Your head trash is the voice in your head that says, I can't do it because ... So for everybody listening to the program, think about the goals that you want, in your career, in your business, for your team, for your organization, right? Over, let's say, the next 12 months, right? And everybody talks about goal setting, right? Oh, you got to set your goals and put them in positive, blah, blah, blah. We've heard that a million times. Okay, but here's what nobody talks about. What nobody talks about is what happens right after you set that goal, right? So you set a goal. Well, we want to increase our revenues by 15% over the next quarter. I want to make 7 figures in my business. I want to, whatever it might be, right? I want to add, 50K, 100K per month, whatever it might be, right? So you set that goal. But you know what happens for most people? Right after they set that goal, they have a belief that comes in that says, I probably can't do it, right? And so the point is, you're going to make yourself right. See, there's an old quote that is attributed to Henry Ford, and he said, whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right. Now, what I did with all due respect, what I've done is, with all due respect to Mr. Ford, I've updated it a little bit. And here's how I put it. So Dr. Noah says, whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you make yourself right. You make yourself right. See, we humans have an infinite capacity to make ourselves right. And that means that if you say, oh, I want this, but I don't think I could, oh, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I can't afford it, I don't have the right resources, I don't know who to talk to, I don't have the right support system, oh, my spouse won't let me do it, whatever it might be, then you're going to make yourself right. And what do you know? You didn't achieve your goal. Congratulations, you're right. So this is one area that I always tell my clients, whether it's one-on-one or group coaching clients, I will say this is one area where you don't want to be right.
So this is getting in touch and finding a pathway.
Mm-hmm.
All right, rather than a roadblock. Find a yellow brick road.
Actually, that's funny. That's exactly the term that I use. I call it the yellow brick road of entrepreneurship or business ownership, and that is it. And because there are different milestones along that yellow brick road, so that is exactly the term that I use. Yes.
Isn't that interesting? Wow.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm in sync.
Yes,
So
indeed.
take me to the next step, please.
Okay, so when we have, and actually that goes back to your point you made earlier. So like I've written a lot of books on inner game, and this new book called The Seven Figure Machine is all about outer game. All right, so talking about outer game for a moment. So there are certain things that we need to do, as business owners, as if you're a manager, if you're in charge of a team, or as an HR professional, that you just have to have in place these systems. And the problem is that when you listen to the gurus out there, what they really did is they have what I call personality driven success. And that is exactly what it sounds like. It's driven by their personality, right? And we all know who the gurus are out there, and they're taking up all the air on social media or whatever. And, these are very popular people, and there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is when you look at their success stories, their main, if not only success stories themselves. It's like, hey, look at all this money I made. And I'm like, that's great for you, dude. Have you helped anyone else make any money? you know? And the answer is usually not so much. And that's because it's about personality. So what I developed over the last 25 plus years is a system driven success. And that's why in my books and my coaching, you'll notice that I talk more about my clients than me. Because if it's all about one person, then you don't have a system. You got a personality, and the point is, well, what if I don't have that personality? They have all these big personalities. Well, I'm an introvert. I'm a shy person. I'm quiet. I know it might not seem like that on this interview right now, but when I'm in the media and I'm doing interviews, of course, I tap into that extroverted part of me. But really, my idea of excitement is curling up with a good book by the fireplace. You know what I mean? So the point is, it's got to be about system-driven success. That's what seven-figure machine is all about. Is about creating these outer game systems and installing them. And I show them exactly, or I show you in the book exactly what they are. And then for the inner game, my main book for that is called Power Habits. And that's for your inner game. See, so when you master your inner game and your outer game, I mean, honestly, there's no way you can't break through that income ceiling and get that hockey stick growth.
Okay, show me a slide or two
Mhm.
that you can now put a picture on.
Absolutely.
Show the audience.
All right, let's do it. All right, so here is the new book called The Seven Figure Machine, Your Ultimate Roadmap to Endless Earnings and Financial Freedom. And as you mentioned in your opening, Ed, what's really great is when you go to sevenfiguremachinebook.com, if you can see that, sevenfiguremachinebook.com, the number seven, sevenfiguremachinebook.com. All you have to do is you hit the order button and it'll take you to Amazon to place your order. And then step two is I've got all these awesome bonuses for you. And you just scroll down here and there's over $299 of free bonuses. In fact, I'm going to add another $200 bonus here, which is a new course that I'm creating right now that'll be released in the next 2 weeks called Your Seven Figure Fast Track. And it's all about putting these systems in place. So you're going to get all of this. So here's everything that you're going to see. I mean, I literally walk you through. It's pretty awesome if you look at everything you're going to discover here. I mean, I can read all these bullets, but I don't think you want me to. But anyway, there's a whole bunch of great stuff in here. And as I mentioned, there's charts and graphs and everything. And here's some FAQs. And what else was I going to show you? Oh yeah, so there's some of my celebrity testimonials. Jenny McCarthy, I'm sure we all know her from The Masked Singer. Gary Vaynerchuk, very popular, and Stephen Covey gave me a wonderful endorsement before he sadly passed away a few years ago. So that's sevenfiguremachinebook.com. And then for inner game, we have powerhabitsbook.com, powerhabitsbook.com. And this is all about, as I call it, discovering the cure for shelf help. Many people listening probably have shelf help. That means you buy a book, you go, oh, that looks great. You put it on the shelf and you never read it. Shelf help, right? That Doesn't really do you any good. So
I've got some of those.
I've created the Cure for Shelf Help. And, here you see a lot of, people who just love the book and things like that. And same thing, you just press the order button, it'll take you to Amazon. And then there's awesome bonuses there as well. All right. So that's inner game and outer game. So, hey, I got you covered with nine ways to Sunday. There you go. So sevenfiguremachinebook.com, powerhabitsbook.com. There you go.
All right. And now the coaching program breakthrough with Noah.com.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what
Yeah.
do people learn there?
Sure, I can pull that up. But anyway, breakthroughwithnoah.com. There's a video training there that you'll come up in just a second here. And what that does is it gives you an 11-minute walkthrough and overview of my philosophy, how I see things and what makes it a little bit different, or actually kind of a lot different from, the gurus out there and what, again, some of the results that I've gotten for people. And, this one little shortcut could double your business or more in 2024. Little rhyming there. So you could just watch that. Again, you can see some of the results that I've gotten for people. Brittany did over 40 million in sales, and Tim built a 7-figure business, and so on and so on. Anyway, so you could just book or schedule a consultation here with me or one of my coaches. You just fill that out and answer some questions, and that's all at breakthroughwithnoah.com.
Okay, so let's go back to the book and about
Okay.
the concept of identifying the inner and the outer.
Okay.
Okay,
What would you like to know?
so my inner and my outer. Okay, um, so I'm doing talk shows, and
Right.
and uh, I don't want to put a toll gate up because I think
Right. Of
I
course.
will lose audience. So
Of
I want
course.
to get eyeballs, so it's
Of
free.
course.
And it turns out to be a PR machine by itself.
Absolutely.
And I use LinkedIn, of course,
Yep.
and I belong to 100 groups within
Yep.
there, and there's a total reach, the members of the different groups. Well, I'm going to send this program out to various groups that I'm a
Okay.
member, if not all.
Right.
And there's a total reach of 1.4 million.
Awesome.
Doesn't mean they're going to open it, but it'll reach them.
Right.
Okay, so the trick would be, how do I get them to open it? So
Right.
it's all in the simple message connected with each
Yes.
program.
Yes.
But more so now, how do I turn? So my thinking is, and has been, and
Yes.
I've already started to work on it,
Yes.
but I'm, there's not a bad cop, good cop thing going on here, but
Right. No, I
it's
got you.
just,
I got it.
what am I doing? Why don't I
Right.
do it
Absolutely.
faster, better, quicker?
Right.
And so um, setting up a consultancy, a PR consultancy, to help people become comfortable with the green light and be more camera ready,
Right.
right? And
Right.
that goes to public speaking, right?
Right.
And it goes to comfort in a contentious situation. Some people will be afraid.
Sure. Of course.
A lot of people will be afraid.
Absolutely.
And they're reluctant to go on camera.
Correct.
And
Correct.
so I started this program. I'm not looking for freebies. I just want to explain the situation. So I've started this program called To Life, exclamation point. To
Nice.
life, right? And that has a
Nice.
lot of connotations, of course, as we both know,
Right.
but so to life. But the subline is health and wellness thinking. All right. And
Okay.
I'm gearing it towards coaches, business coaches.
Right.
And a lot of these people are former business executives, whether they own a company or they're CEOs or C-suite, and now they're doing coaching. All right, and
Right.
they're looking for gigs in some of these
Understood.
large employers, or
Mm-hmm.
multi-divisional, and the
Mm-hmm.
current leaders and can't do it all, so they bring in people like you, right?
Exactly.
Or some of my
Exactly.
customers too.
Exactly.
So the more I can generate in that vein, just like this show will,
Right.
going forward, it fits right into that milieu. Um,
Right.
then I will find somehow I will recruit members who want to join my club, right? For
Right.
one month or 2 months, 3 months,
Right.
6 months, 12 months.
Exactly.
And I offer a package of services just like you do in coaching.
Right.
And but that's where it stops. It's on a website that I built a
Uh-huh.
hundred times over and over again, tweaking
Yes.
and
Yes.
and
Yes.
then getting it out. And I'm finally getting some bites, but it's so slow
Yeah. I got you.
because so I'm sort of right there. Now, what do I do next? Other than the whole idea of just continue talking about it and giving it
Well,
giving it away to some extent so you get people to try it and then they become a mouthpiece.
that is partially true. So it's so funny, Ed. You're in the exact position of so many people that I have helped to really scale up their business very, very quickly. And what I mean by that is you have done what many consider to be the hardest thing, which is to get an audience. So you have an audience, and that for many people is the hardest part. So you've done, you know, in some ways of thinking, the hardest part, which is, oh my gosh, you've got people that are listening to you, that are paying attention to you. The problem is you don't have your offers dialed in. Okay. That's what it sounds like, what I'm hearing you say. Right. So,
Good
um,
point. Good point.
well, okay. So in the book, in Seven Figure Machine, and in my coaching, of course, when I work with people, whether it's one-on-one or group coaching, this is one of the things that we absolutely dial in. So very briefly, I can tell you how it works. So there are three main types of offers that I help people to dial in, and that is done for you, done with you, and do it yourself. Done for you, done with you, and do it yourself. So I'll give you an example. So an example of a done for you would be like, we have a book done for you service because I've written 25 books. I've worked with the biggest publishers on the earth. I've had six-figure book deals, literary agents, and on and on and on, all the way through self-publishing. So in fact, I'm the only author in history, and this is true, no one else has ever done this, who's had works published by Hay House, HarperCollins, Simon & Schuster, Mind Valley, Nightingale Conant, and the Chicken Soup for the Soul publisher. No one else has ever done that. Not, none of the other guys. So just me. I'm a category of one, you could say. So anyway, so that's because people kept like asking me and begging me, Noah, can you help me with my book? I want to write a book. And, I was like, okay. So I put this service together. And just like as an example, I had a stem cell doctor in Nashville, and he contacted me. He said, no, I've been thinking about writing this book for 10 years. And we got it done for him in 8 weeks. 8 week, 10 years to 8 weeks. Why? Because I have a system. Okay. So that's an example of a done for you offer. Then a done with you offer, right? That sounds like what you already have, right? So you have group coaching and one-on-one coaching. That's where you're helping people, you're consulting with them, you're giving them the help. That can also be, of course, going into corporations, like I do with keynote presentations or workshops or things like that. So that's the done with you. And then to do it yourself is everything else, right? So that where you could have your own book or online course or things like that. So that way you're reaching one to many rather than just one to one. So that when you put all of those different offers in place, the three levels, that's one really, really fast way that you can scale up. I'll give you another quick example. I was working with a chiropractor in Canada, and she, of course, was a chiropractor, right? Adjusting patients, and she was doing well, but she couldn't break through that income ceiling. I taught her how to do all this, and now she's doing six figures a month, like clockwork, and she's actually working less and still making way more. So that's an example of how that works.
So it's a mind shift, of course, but it's a doing. You got to
Well,
do
yeah. I mean, I am definitely all about taking action, and you actually mentioned this a moment ago. I want to touch on that. It's about taking action in the face of fear. There's a lot of people that think, oh, I'll do it when I'm not afraid. And then the answer is, well, then you'll never do it because there's always fear. I don't care whether you're making 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures, or 8 figures. There's always fear going to the next level. And why is that? It's because everything you desire is on the other side of fear. Everything you desire, everything you want is on the other side of fear. There's always going to be that fear. So if you're waiting to be not scared, well, then you'll never do it because there's always going to be fear. So that's why I'm all about taking inspired action in the face of fear.
So what about this thing called the imposter syndrome?
Mm-hmm.
When you can't, excuse me, you can't see yourself, can't picture yourself doing something different because of clouds in your mind, or
Right.
or you're busy, or you're worried about the the spouse or the house or the
Right.
what, right?
Right, exactly. Well, it's funny, and I get that question a lot, Ed. People ask me all the time about imposter syndrome, and it's so funny. And I always share this. I always go, I never understood imposter syndrome until I started, coaching people and helping them to overcome their imposter syndrome, because I have the exact opposite. I have the why the heck isn't everybody listening to me syndrome? Everybody should be listening to me, and so I had the exact opposite. But I understand, even though I have not had it myself, imposter syndrome, but I certainly understand, the fear of just being seen. And really what it comes down to is the fear of public humiliation. That's what it really, really is. It's the fear of public humiliation, which ironically is also the fear of public speaking. As I'm sure you know, and most people listening know, public speaking or fear of public speaking is the number one fear of, most American adults, and the fear of death is number 6. So most people would rather die 5 times than speak in public.
And the fear of Zoom is getting up
You're
there.
right, exactly, right. And so anyway, but really, really, when you boil it down, it's a fear of public humiliation. So, is that an inner game issue? Yeah, of course it is. So there we go. That's why power habits, that's why I would suggest getting power habits, because it's all about, these habits. It's a system, including my affirmations that I, already talked about. And that's one of the power habits, is to literally change your mindset from the inside out. So yeah, imposter syndrome is there, but it doesn't have to be there.
So once again, affirmation is taking charge.
Well, you're using empowering questions rather than statements, right? So an affirmation, the old way, is a statement. I'm happy, I'm rich, I'm successful. And your brain goes, no, you're not, right? For most people. In fact, did you know that a scientific study was actually done on this topic, and it showed that 75% of people who use the old affirmations method actually end up more frustrated than before? So imagine if you had a smartphone that didn't work 3 out of the 4 times you went to use it. You'd probably get a new phone, wouldn't you? So that's what I
throw it away.
Right. Well, I invented a new phone for your brain, right? Called affirmations. And again, that's part of the power habit system. So yeah, I mean, it's incredibly powerful, and it's also very, very simple. So you can literally change, your entire mindset in less than 5 minutes a day using my affirmations method.
Okay. Now, once again, affirmation, like for me in the story I just told,
Right. Yes.
Is getting, opening up to the offer, doing more,
Right.
being more creative,
Yes.
finding another way of saying the same things.
Well, I mean, going back to my 7-figure machine formula or framework, I mean, that's what I was showing you. And again, I show you in the book how to actually create done done for you offers, done with you offers, and do it yourself offers. So it sounds to me like you already have the done with you offers. And so, what we would want to look at is seeing if we can do the done for you and the do it yourself, because that's a really great way to scale. And let me just say one thing real quick. There are some things that you can't do for other people. I'll give you a quick example. Imagine if I was the world's greatest personal trainer, the personal trainer to the stars, and you wanted to get in shape. And you say, hey, Noah, I want you to help me get in shape because I've seen your videos, I've read your books, and I hear you're the personal trainer to the stars. You get great results. So I want you to train me because I want to get in great shape. And I say, great, let's do it. All right. So I'm going to give you, the nutritional plan and the workout plan. It's going to be great. We're going to have a lot of fun. And you say, okay, there's just one more thing. And I say, what's that? And you go, now I want you to do my sit-ups for me, Noah, so I can get 6-pack abs. Now, wouldn't that be great, right? Wouldn't it be great if we could hire someone to do our sit-ups and we get 6-pack abs? I mean, I can tell you what, Ed, if I could figure that out, I'd be a trillionaire. I'd be a gazillionaire, right? Because it's like, unfortunately, there's some things we just can't outsource, and your mindset is one of those things. But there are still many things we can, outsource and have done for you. But there are a few examples where you can't do it. So anyway, I just like to share that. It's just kind of
That's
funny.
really good. It's really good to see your slides. Dr. Noah St. John, this is great. So done with you, done for you, done by yourself.
Right. You got it.
Yeah. Okay. I've old school, wrote it down, and
perfect.
Now it's staring back at me.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, and that's just step 1 of the 7-figure machine framework. So we start with offers, then we've got to get your funnels, we've got to use your clients, we've got to get your automation system in place. So you're like, oh my God, it's way too much work. Actually, the irony is it's a lot of work at the beginning, but then it literally sets you free. And going back to that story I shared earlier with you about that client, her name's Stacy up in Canada, the chiropractor. She actually, I said, because this is what I ask all my clients, whether one-on-one or group coaching, I always say, what is your goal? Like, what's your big dream? And she said, no, my big dream is to take my family on a trip to the Grand Canyon. Because, they live up in Canada and they've, of course, heard about the Grand Canyon and always want to go there. And I said, that's great. But when would you like to go? And she said, well, if we could get there in like 5 to 7 years, that'd be amazing. Like the next 5 to 7 years. Ed, we got her there in 18 months as a result of following my format. 18, instead of 5, 7 years, boom, just 18 months. And she sent pictures, they took a helicopter, VIP all the way. And I'm like, isn't that great? It's a great feeling to know that you made a difference in the lives of your clients and the people that you touch. So that's how
That's a
powerful,
great
this is.
story, and you
Yeah,
helped her identify something that she said she wanted to do, and made it happen faster.
exactly.
And you gave her a track to run on.
Exactly. You got it.
Right. And so I thank you very much for being my guest. I invite you to come back.
Oh,
Um,
great.
and this is just great.
Thank you.
And
Thank you so
I'll
much.
send Maria and yourself a program link to this later in my day today.
Wonderful. I look forward to
Okay.
sharing it with my tribe too.
Thank you, sir.
All right. See you soon. Bye.
Nice to meet you.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.